We're trying to get this close to the president. I'm like, can we get 6 feet away? No. So it was huge problem to get this going on, but we accomplished it, and we didn't have anything break. We were able to stream this, and the use case scenario, if you're looking at it as a case study, oh my God, we got picked up by every tech team. We got picked up by Variety. Everybody wrote about us. Everybody did amazing things like, wow, they're doing this. We got more traffic to our site than ever before, and we got to be a part of history with a really amazing president that our team really loved. So, in the end, what I do is I try my hardest to put together the most innovative marketing programs in the world. At Hydro Studios, we are working on development with the AR kit so that we can do augmented reality. I think that's super important, and if we have time, I'm going to get into AR. I'm looking at Snapchat because what are they going to do next with spectacles? We're working on movie releases like the 45th anniversary of The Harder They Come, the movie that introduced reggae to the world, and a lot of stuff with VR and AR. A home builder using augmented reality to show a home as they're building it, because you buy a home, you can't see it for 30 days, but you can go in and you can be like, okay, maybe this pink wall doesn't go very well with the black floor, because you're not just seeing swatches, you're actually seeing that. So we really need to start with this mentality of why VR, why AR, why are we doing this instead of putting it up on the flatty? The flatty doesn't matter. So I'm super excited about AR, and I always have been. I've always said that VR and AR, it's a spectrum. VR is kind of the lead in to go into AR and to mixed reality, where you're walking around in reality and things are like there in front of you, and then you can interact with them. VR Scout recently put up a video of somebody doing Super Mario World in real life in AR. It's super cool. So like this guy's like walking through like the real thing. I love doing this on stage, by the way. Walking through and jumping on the pipes and punching everything. I'm like, wow, when this really hits mainstream, everybody's going to look like a damn crazy person. It's going to be rad. You remember when cell phones came out and we're like, is that person insane or is he a business person? Remember that? It's the next level. So this is how I like to think of myself. All right, this is me. I'm a mixture of Don Draper of marketing and Steve Jobs, but the reality is I'm more Steve Urkel and Palmer Luckey. So I just have to be honest with myself. And we're going to go into this. How do we create 360 content? Is anybody in the audience actively creating 360 content? Oh my God, I love you people. Okay, everybody else can leave. No, I'm joking. How do we create 360 content? First, let's look at the price point cameras. The cameras that are below $500. There's a lot of cameras that are represented here. The people at Ricoh Theta are here. The people from Kodak are here. And they're actually here with a new camera that seems pretty cool that I actually learned about yesterday. So I think VidCon's such a cool place because you're able to learn about all these things. So let's look at what these cheaper cameras are. So up top left, you've got the Ricoh Theta. All these cameras are basically just two lenses. They're two fisheye lenses butt to butt, and then they're automatically stitched together. Super, super easy to use, and most of them, I wouldn't buy one if it didn't automatically attach to socials. So I'm going to use this Nano as an example. So the Insta Nano is about this size. It attaches to your phone just like that. And it has an Instagram-like interface where you're able to use filters and everything like that. It shares directly to Facebook, to Twitter, and it's a really cool thing. It's not great, so it's only going to be very valuable and get good video or picture quality if you're really close up. I mean, you're paying $199 for this thing. It does what something that would have cost thousands of dollars just a few years ago. But that's why it's an exciting time, because we can get technology that is this badass and this small. I mean, I forgot this was in my backpack. But anyways, I'm going to give one away later on today. So yay! Not to you, though. Whoever whistled. I don't like whistlers. Whistles suck. Controlling you from the stage. That's rad. And then you have the Samsung that just came out. This is the older Samsung. So you see fisheye lens, fisheye lens. A lot of problems with this first one that I kind of want to mention, because if you have a lens that's this big and not replaceable, if you get a gash in it or a dent in it or something, you kind of screwed it. It sucks putting Vaseline on it to cover it up. But we're used to all these hacks because people don't understand like how difficult it is to buy something and then have it break because it's not thought out well. This one has a silver ring around the side of it, which makes it give this halo effect, this reflection thing. So it makes this terrible looking bright flash, and you ruin so many shots with this. But when it came on the market at the beginning of 2016, it was like amazing, man. I mean, it was transformative. I was like, I'll have my babies, which I say every day, by the way. But, you know, I don't. Kevin wins, everyone. Then you have the prosumer level cameras. This is where we're at. And I think that what was announced yesterday with the 360 or the 180 VR stuff, do you guys remember the 180 VR? So I thought that was super cool because they're doing it in stereo. So stereo basically mimics the human eye. These cameras are as far apart as my eyes. There are 8 of them. So it's able to see depth. It's able to see depth. So if you have 2 characters there on stage with you, you're able to see where that person is in context. I think it's super important. It's super important because this just looks like you're inside of a globe, inside of a flat painting. So if you're really serious, use something that is stereoscopic. Stereoscopic is awesome. We're going to get into the pros and cons of each, but these characters are in between $799 and $4,000. This particular one, this is the Vuse camera, V-U-Z-E. It is $799. It's pretty cool because not only does it have the 8 cameras and the stereoscopic, but it also has 4 mics, so it has spatial audio. Spatial audio is super important because it puts you in this position where you can hear something behind you or that way. And that's another level of immersion, but also another level of pain in the assery. It's a very technical term for how much time you have to use in post, which we'll get to with my friend Dacia later on. So I just lost my pickle. There we go. You know these things are called pickles? I don't know. That's funny, right? Clickers. And then you have pro-level cameras. The Jaunt 1, the Nokia Ozo, and these are going to be over $10,000. The Ozo is one of my favorites because you can get really close to it. We're going to be doing a video with a company called Redesign It, and they're going to have some dancers from So You Think You Can Dance, and they're going to have them very, very close to the camera and everything, and that's cool because some of these other cameras you have to realize where the stitch lines are. So stitch lines, are you guys familiar with stitch lines? Who's familiar with stitch lines? Yes! Your mortal enemy in VR is the stitch line. And so with a very simple, look, I'm Carrot Top, I'm the prop comic. With a very simple stitch line, you have like a 180 camera, just the stitches of the Spaceball. And then you get to like the really difficult things where you have multiple cameras and you've got a basketball with all those seams. I have kids, so this was easy to put together. And then you have, oh shit, this is way too damn hard. I have like a trillion stitch lines and it's killing me. This is the most annoying gift I've gotten my children, ever. My wife hates me for it. She wants me to lose it. But anyways, so stitch lines, they're starting to become a thing of the past because all these cameras are fighting for people to make content, and they're doing auto-stitching, stitching in the cloud, and then with like Adobe Premiere and Post, it's getting easier and easier. You're looking at template-based stitching versus optical-based stitching. So optical-based stitching is where the camera and the software itself looks at all of everything, every single pixel in some instances, and puts them together in that route. Template-based, I think will hopefully eventually be replaced or hybrided. Template-based is just where it's seeing everything and trying to layer it and trying to connect it correctly. And that's where you see all these stitch lines. So pro level is awesome because the quality is just so damn high. The more cameras, the better the end product is going to be for the most time, unless your post is just complete shit. All right. So then we got these new cameras that are these social affiliate cameras. Social affiliate cameras are the cameras that Facebook has announced, that Google has announced. And they're interesting because if you have a good enough project, then they're going to give them to you for free if you're able to pitch them. And the cool thing is about people like us, if we come up with a good project and basically send them like a 3 to 6 page deck of our idea, it's pretty likely we can get that. So have your ideas, because your ideas are going to be like early ideas, and nobody's actually doing anything. There's just not a lot of doers in the damn world, right? Yeah, nod your head. I like it when you nod your head. All right. So cons of monoscopic. I've gone over that, and I think really the most important one is now we're looking at what YouTube just announced. With 180 VR, they're even talking about, like they said that it's going to be 3D. So my opinion is they're going to have these 3D 180 cameras where you're able to look forward, whether you're on YouTube or wherever, and you're able to be in this place and you're able to see depth. Depth of field is so important. My monoscopic cameras, I use them as like scout cameras basically. So I'm like, does this space look good? Is this going to be a good space that has reason for me to do the entire thing? Oh, perfect in the light right here. Take me, Jesus. This presentation isn't going well. He didn't take it. All right, cons of high end. First thing is the cost. I mean, the cost is hell. You're looking at, the costs are going down, but you're looking at $80,000 for some cameras. The Ozo, which has been one of my favorites, is a $40,000 camera. I actually have a promo code that will get it down to $25,000. So for everybody that's coming with $25,000 in your pocket, who's got it? You laugher. You got it. But the cons of high end are, of course, just how much post that you have to do. Is this a good time to do post? I kind of want to talk a little bit about post. I'll wait for you. So my idea, there's a few more slides and I'll drag you up here. My thoughts are to buy cheap and rent big. I buy the cheaper cameras, and then if I have a brand that says, hey, I want to do something, then I'll rent one. And it'll be $1,000 or $2,000 a day, and sometimes it'll come with software stitching, and sometimes it'll come with a crew that'll come with it. So people are really trying their hardest to have these. I like the folks at Radiant Images. If you're in LA, that's one of the best places to do it, so hit them up. All right, setting up. Still making you wait. Exploration, direction, time, and attention. I mean, gosh, the first thing is you have to realize that you're asking somebody to be in another world where they are shut off from everybody else, from their kids, from whatever. So my wife, for instance, we have 2 kids. It's very rare that I'm like, oh, Lynette, you have to try this. You have to try this. Because she's going to say, oh, you pissed me off because now my hair's messed up and blah, blah, blah. This wasn't good. So it has to be like amazing. I really want to see things that are amazing. And I want people to really make those things. So don't do stupid stuff where you're moving the camera too much because it's going to make people sick. I'm tired of people making roller coaster experiences because it's the same old thing. So what you'll need is pretty simple. A monopod, a camera, as I said, a 1 Scout and a 1 Pro. You don't know how valuable it is to have one of these cheaper cameras that you can look at on your phone. Like the Nano is great, the Samsung is great if you have a Samsung phone, the Ricoh is great, but it's just putting it out there on the monopod. And another thing that I really like to do is I like to think about the camera as a character. So if you've got a character and you're like, okay, You've got this hero character. I put the hero character on a monopod at about 6'3", so that you're looking high. We're working on a project with erased child trafficking where we've got a hero character, a villain character that's a little bit under 5'6", and then we have the child character that's at a lower angle, so that you're able to understand who you are as you go through this experience. It's a super exciting way to do that because it gives you context and it puts you in that position. You know, one of our most impactful shots that we've ever done was basically a child was abducted in this story, and there's a part where you open up the trunk, and all the light comes in, and you feel like you're in the trunk, and two people are there and reach in to grab you, and everybody was like that's basically how I sold that project, because I was able to say, this is the perfect use case scenario for this project. And after I told them about the trunk shot, they're like, let's do it. Why am I snapping? I'm not a snapper. That's weird. By the way, sorry. Then we've got sandbags. I think sandbags, a lot of people use them. I just find stuff on the street, like I'm homeless, like rocks or whatever, and I put them at the base of the monopod. There's a very cheap monopod called a Smattree, S-M-A-T-R-E-E. I think they're around 24 to 30 bucks. They don't go up extremely high, but think of it this way. If you're getting a $150 or $200 camera and then you're getting a monopod, you're done. You've got a hobby that costs you 250 bucks. Yay! And then you can make pretty cool content. So again, I used one Scout, one Pro level. And when you're setting up, make sure you have a lot of SD cards. Make sure if you have just one single thing, you've got one SD card, and then you've got a backup, because you run out of space so much. Who's run out of space when shooting? Anybody? Yep. All 4 of these shooters. 5 shooters. I got guns up there. And then, I love that I'm saying, yes, bring Vaseline with you. Ryan Bell told me to bring Vaseline with me. Don't be a weirdo. Don't bring Vaseline. Just don't break your damn stuff. But bring lens wipes, bring SD cards, bring your camera. Pre-production, wipe all your lenses, check all of your batteries. Oh my God. These things, even when they're turned off for some reason, they just drain batteries. No reason, I don't know why. But you get there, you have your extra cards, you assess the landscape, and you bring your chargers. I don't need to hawk any charger. There's a million chargers. You guys are probably given a charger when you walk through the door here. But bring chargers. It's not that big of a deal to have a whole studio, because 360 camera is meant to be invisible. So even the big expensive ones are pretty small. So you're looking at the Nokia's about this big, the Jaunt's a little bit bigger. So nothing's much bigger than a basketball. So now, setting up a shot. I love that picture, because when I started shooting, I was like, damn, I gotta lose some weight so I can hide behind some trees. So, is it a good shot for a 360? You'd be very aware of the stitch lines, inform the actors. One of the best ways to do it is to walk in concentric circles around until you get to a space where you're about 6 feet out. And then you go back and you look at that shot and you see where the stitch lines are. And then you know that camera and you know how far that is away. Also, less movement is more. Make sure that you're there. The coolest thing about shooting in 360 is that you're treating the camera as character. So John did this one piece where there was this Asian lady in one of the shots that came down and sat in a pew in a church. And she looked straight at the camera. No traditional acting ever before, but everybody stuck on that lady because they felt like she was looking at her and that there was some part of the story there. And there really wasn't. But it's because you feel connected in this new world. So remember, when you're building this world, you're in charge of building not just this one screen. You're in charge of making this immersive reality and connecting in a new way. So I'm super excited when I see actors that are able to engage and able to go in and out and get close and interact with the camera. So I love to find a place to hide where I'm also close enough to be able to see what's going on in my shot. and then shoot at dawn, noon, or dusk, depending upon the camera. You know, there's a camera called the Dark Corner that's really nice for dark stuff. We did some consulting, and Elton John's team did that because he was on stage at Caesars, and of course there's plenty of light where he's at, but people wanted to be able to, I mean, nobody likes to use wireless mics, but you kind of have to now in so many ways, especially if you're doing spatial audio, but I'll let you talk about that. Shooting with movement. Do not move the camera. It's such a hard thing for me to say don't move the camera, because some of the coolest stuff, some of the coolest creations, some of the most innovative ways that we've seen, Adidas just did something with some dancers, and the director literally held the camera to his chest while a dancer did a flip over him. And it shouldn't have worked, but it looked just magnificently cool. It was really cool. So you've got SD cards. Do crazy stuff and see if it works, but be responsible and look at it and be like, is this going to make people sick? Don't release anything until you've looked at it in a headset. Don't just be willy-nilly, oh, this is cool. Because every time you get somebody sick, an angel dies or something. I don't know. Every time you get somebody sick, you're basically a butthole. So just don't do it. I like to see drone footage, and drone footage is actually easier than you think, because you're so far away, it's not going to make you sick. And you've got a drone that comes in very linearly and sees everything. And I think that's a super cool feeling, because you're able to feel like you're flying at the very beginning, the intro of a movie, something like that. That's great. All right, blocking and sound. Camera height, 6 feet or higher. Use perspective, going back to the erased child trafficking thing. Actors always at least 3 feet from the camera, depending upon the concentric circles. I like to keep it at 3 feet, just because too close is too close, and then it starts to get a little distortion no matter what. Tetrahedral mics are really nice. And then there's a lot of plugins like Gaudio and Facebook 360 plugins. But this leads us to Post. All right.
Coming up here?
Yeah. Oh, do we have a mic for you? I thought I would get last, but obviously not. You guys suck. All right.
Not on the side.
No.
He's just nervous
I'm just
on the
really
stage.
nervous.
And I don't know why. I'm trolling.
I'm trolling. I'm the worst. I know. I'm the worst. I said John was the worst yesterday, but I'm the worst.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hello.
Are you ready?
Hello. Hey, we're live. Cool. How do you want to do this? Want to see the game and just walk you through some things? I didn't help you prepare these slides, so.
No, you didn't help me prepare at all. Let's talk.
I do really though. Real quick, I would love to challenge you a little bit on the 6 feet sitch. There's a lot of research right now that the higher you put it, it makes people feel really uncomfortable, because most people, you end up looking down on your subjects. And I also kind of think that part of being able to film in this kind of space is that you get to play with scale and perspective in really interesting new ways as you are designing. If you think about the spaces like architecture, so right now, experiment and play. We're at a stage in immersive media making where filmmaking was 100 years ago. There was no language developed yet, and people started putting, what if we put this shot and that shot, and then the edit was born. So I think I just want to challenge that a little bit and just say, go put the camera in a lot of weird places and then see what makes sense for the story you're telling and play, because that's how we're going to figure out how this language develops, is the more people experiment. So,
what's the perfect height for just average shot?
Well, so I was hanging out with some folks from Google who are helping, the product manager who's helping to develop the jump camera, which also, to your point, really awesomely, they're opening up submissions. They just had a round. They picked 40 different projects. They gave filmmakers who they approved the camera for 2 months. they're totally overwhelmed with, with pitches, and they're opening up submissions again in August or September. So keep an eye out for that.
It's just ready.
Yeah, and you're gonna get a Halo $17,000 camera that you can go basically just make and play with. So that's pretty cool. But talking to her, she was saying like, I don't know, they're thinking like 5'5", something like that. A little bit lower if you're trying to get that human look. But then again, I think you could think of, again, what makes sense for your story. And I think that's really important. And to me, I don't know, I think it's kind of fun to play in, like, what is the perspective from a mouse? You know, like we have this language on, you've got like the wide angle and your medium shot and your close-ups. What if in 360 we have perspective? We talk about shots from perspective. So your mouse shot, your eagle shot, you know, the disco ball at the party shot, I don't know. Like, you don't have to, you're trying to put people into a different world, you know? So.
Would you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, okay, yeah, totally true.
Terrible.
So yeah, I'm Dusty Steins. I'm on the After Effects team at Adobe, and I'm also like a super huge 360 VR enthusiast. I got into it probably 2 years ago. I saw my first 360 video, and it was a YouTube video, and I cried. It's true. Bono was like singing into my eyes, into my soul, on the center of the stage, and then I got transported to all these other spaces, like as you know, they use sound being super important as a means of guiding people through a world. Suddenly I turn around and I'm in, you know, there's like 12 mariachis covering the song that they're singing, and then I spin around again, and now I'm like in a bedroom with like a young person on the bed, like playing the song on a keyboard. So I started making stuff, just started playing around, and so far I've been having a lot of fun doing that. And then, I don't know if you guys heard of the new big announcement. Adobe just got Skybox metal products, and so those are going to be starting in the fall. We're going to be integrating those tools natively, so you know, people can start playing right away. Yeah.
Do you see Adobe as being something where every different camera you should be putting into Adobe before you put it out? No.
What do you mean? Wait.
Like if I have content and I've shot it on a Views camera, am I going to put it in Adobe after I stitch it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the things that right now we're super interested in hearing people's workflows. People, depending on what kind of content you're creating, are doing all kinds of innovative things and jumping through all sorts of hoops, because this is really nascent, and we're, with the acquisition of Metal, really trying to, you know, lower the hurdles, lower the pain points and workflows. So at the moment, you know, some people go into After Effects to do some pixel by pixel stitching to get rid of those stitch lines and do some really magical stuff to take out the monopod and to add motion graphics. And then you go into Premiere to make your edits, and people are really innovating in a lot of interesting ways with how you transport people from scene to scene. So I think that for me, I see the workflow really integrating around Adobe After Effects and Premiere. And Premiere now is also supporting ambisonic sound, spatial sound. We're not doing ambisonic quite yet, but that's coming down the pipeline as we're trying to problem solve for that.
How long should an average 5 to 7 minute piece go into post?
How long does it take to create a 5 to 7 minute piece?
Yeah,
it's a long process for sure. Yeah. And it's you got to have a lot of patience. I think one of the things that we're really trying to solve for at the moment is that, and some of the things that I found challenging is that you're doing this, you're editing, then you got to export it. It takes forever. Then you got to upload it to be able to watch it and actually be able to sort of see what it is that you've created. And that's one of the things we're trying to solve for. And I think there's a lot of questions out there. We're asking, you know, editors. We're asking, you know, if you want to get my email, or maybe we can put that up with your hashtag or something like that.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'd love to hear from people, because one of the things is like, sure, maybe it would be cool to edit in your headset so you could see what you were doing, but like, how long does an editor want to be in a headset? You know what I mean? Like, that's like something we're asking. Like, is that something would you be in there for 12 hours? But you know, I think switching back and forth is cool, but it could also be a pain in the ass eventually. So So yeah, those are some interesting things. I think the future of posts that I would love to see as far as like cinematic VR goes is the ability to take the kind of tools that you find in Unity or Unreal Engine, which are gaming and programming tools, where you're able to basically, say like, oh, if my viewer looks over there, trigger that sound, or they looked this way, trigger this actor, and you're able to do some really intensely cool, like, branch narratives and whatnot. And that's not something that you can currently do at the moment without taking footage and content into essentially a game engine where you have to learn to code. And I'm on more of the creative side of things, and I'm gonna try to learn Unity. But it'd be great to have something that was a little more like, drag and drop. Like this is the trigger. This is what I want to happen. Cool. You know what I mean? So I'm pushing for those kinds of tools. That's what I'm ringing the bell on constantly.
In your opinion, is 360 video VR?
Well, I think that all of those lines are going to blur. I think at the moment, it's really cool to be able to say, like, the only way this is really going to take off in my opinion, the only way this is really going to take off is if a lot of people have access to experience it. And at the moment, there are only 125,000 Vives out in the world that people own, and there are only, the same amount of Oculus. That's not, you can't really get everyone into that space to experience that from that model. So I think being able to start using a mobile phone and get into a Google Cardboard that costs you $7 and to get inside the beach ball is still giving you like the ability to flex the muscle where, people, you have a captive audience for the first time for real. Like, people are in there and they're not also on their phone. And they're not, we walk around the world and we're like, check it. Like, no one ever is just like paying attention anymore. And so I think that's a really cool thing to get people that experience. And then, as you move into the Samsung Gear, you start to get a little more interaction. And I think that continuum will slowly start erasing. One of the big announcements that I heard that I think is going to be a game changer is that Steam is going to be on mobile, and they're creating a 360 video platform. So you can go upload your content there and have it in front of, it's going to be like the Netflix of 360 video, essentially. And so I think it's important for 360 video to exist right now, and I see it slowly, especially as the tools can get there. If we can create these hybridizations of interactive and editing tools, then I feel like it's going to get more exciting, for sure.
Cool. I'm going to blast through the rest of these because I want you guys to ask some questions. Content distribution strategy is really important because a lot of times people are just trying to stream. Like, if I'm trying to show you a piece right now, it's going to suck because we're going to be using conference Wi-Fi. So the best plan is to get it on a headset, like basically put it on mobile, use Samsung Gear VR. Vimeo has really, really good quality, probably the best quality, and then you're able to get it to download directly onto the phone. So if you have a piece that you're sharing, do that. Sharing strategy is pretty simple. It's the usual way that you would. You would drive traffic to where the best video is. The best video is either going to be on Vimeo or YouTube. So if you have a big YouTube subscription or fan base or whatever, definitely YouTube. Facebook is the elephant in the room. They have some cool damn tools. Yeah, they have cool, but we're looking at 2K versus 4K. Vimeo and YouTube are 4K. Then you're able to use things like Zeality. One of the things that I really like to do is create content and then make a reaction video. And Zeality does reaction videos where you're looking at a 360 piece and it's taking a video of you, so you're able to say, this is why I did this. Or you're even able to do this internally for your team and say, here are the stitch lines, we need to fix this. It helps with posts. Have you ever done that?
No, that's awesome.
Try
That sounds
Zeality. It's almost like a pre-post tool, and I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll introduce you to my friend that did that. And then just use YouTube, Facebook to drive traffic. Write an article about it, embed your Vimeo or your YouTube into it. The usual stuff that all social media managers are going to do. But the most important thing, as Chief Keith says, get your mind right. I love quoting very, very smart people that use money as phones. But when we're talking, if we don't have any questions, I wanted to do this kind of thing. Exercise your brain. Start thinking about intellectual properties that would work. I love to think about all of the animated things that would be really awesome. Think about writing an AR, VR screenplay. Like, what's going to be really cool? What's a world that you're going to be able to bring your people into? Shoot a lot of damn content. Read VR, AR nerd books. Like, who here has read Ernest Cline's Ready Player One? Good.
Yes.
You guys are
You'll
smart.
read Ready Player One.
Ready Player
For those
One.
of you who haven't, like, in 24 hours. It's so fun.
Yeah,
So good.
I'm not as smart as you are in 2 days, but it's really damn good. Go to some meetups, create some meetups, because basically people are like, oh, VR, I'm going to go to this, I'm going to go check this out. But like, I want to see Bruce Willis, well, not Bruce Willis, because he probably is a little too big to fit into the old ventilation system now. You know? I'm too old to scoot through there, but like think about
Stuck in real time.
think about these areas where you think it would be cool to do that. And
There's also, sorry to interrupt, but there's also a really cool podcast called Voices of VR.
Can't buy.
Can't buy. It's so good.
So good.
It's so good.
It is so good. And then content in and content out. I try to take in a lot of content so that I'm inspired by other pieces. So Viveport, if you have an HTC Vive, is I think $6.99 a month, first month free, and you get like 5 titles, so you're able to try stuff out all the time. Viveport's awesome. Clouds Over Sidra is really good for the empathy piece, and Google Spotlight Stories. YouTube's doing a really good job, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a VidCon. And then NASA on the Surface of the Planet, and then read a lot of stuff from VR Scout. There's a lot of places, but I'm glad you brought up Road to VR. That's one of my favorites. He goes, dive right in. So what's good content? My God, I control myself. What did I do there?
We gotta talk about this. I'll give you a hug after this.
So animation is cool, interaction or 360 only is cool, but you have to think about, like, really what is good content for you? What are you going to watch? What is going to really drive you to do this stuff? So let's keep going. VidCon camera specials. There you go, $25,000 instead of $40,000 if you want the Nokia for your home, office, or bathroom. I think that's how they sell those. Used for VidCon is $10 off the entire cart, so that's basically...
That one looks cool. I haven't tried that one.
And like that thing is engineered to death. That's a really good camera. And then the Insta Nano is doing VidCon 17 for 10% off. And I mean, for a $199 camera, that's pretty good. Because they're really squeezing a lot of tech into these little things. I don't think
And you want the little ones because you basically don't have a monitor on most things. Like I've been shooting with the 10 GoPro rig, and you can't see what you're shooting if you don't have like one of these little ones that you can mount on top, and then you kind of see what's going on. So it gives you some information while you're.
This is where I'm supposed to be inspirational, but I don't have time to be inspirational, so you better just go out and do cool shit, basically. And I mean, looking at this, we're in a time where we can use multiple technologies to tell a very cool story. That's the most important. If I could tell anybody anything, like there's so many cool technologies and so many companies that are making things so that we can tell cool stories. All right, that's me. Tweet me out or whatever, and we'll look at who can get this. Do we have time for questions at all? Yes. Okay, how many questions? 3, sweet. All right, come on, somebody. Question, please, sir.
Okay, so my name is Kevin Tarr. I'm a virtual reality developer. I actually use Unity to build video games for iOS and Android.
He's cooler than us.
So I guess I've been in VR and AR for about 3 years now, and seeing like last year the massive blow up of Pokemon Go, the proliferation of people that just moved to AR because Pokemon Go had been out. The HoloLens have been out for years, and they have struggled. Microsoft has struggled to get people to get HoloLenses and get into AR. But Pokemon Go, I think, made it very simple because it was a phone, you used it, and you could put digital objects into the real world. And plus it's nostalgic because people like Pokemon.
Right.
I guess I'm thinking like, at least for VR, well I've been thinking, me and my company, we've been thinking about how VR is going to get that same massive push to get people, the same proliferation that people got with AR. And I'm not sure if it's going to be a video game or 360 video
Right.
or an Oscar.
Well, hybrid, a combination.
Or hybrid, or
like
whatever.
a choose your own adventure kind of thing.
I'm leaning towards video games, but I'm wondering what your opinions are of what's going to get that massive push for virtual reality to be.
Afterwards, but it's the IP, it's social sharing, and it's not just
Accessibility.
VR, it's multiple. What?
Accessibility.
It's
huge
exactly.
You know what that's-
I think it's mobile because while we're in this fourth transformation, we're transforming from mobile and from computers to headset and glasses. But we're at the beginning of the transformation, so we still have mobile. So that's why the next big splash is going to be another AR thing.
For sure.
In my
Well, and the cool thing with the Steam announcement, they got together with Pixvana, so people aren't going to have to download the content. So like what you were mentioning earlier, if you're streaming content, it just doesn't look as good, and it doesn't. You're not as like immersed in it, and I think some people kind of tend to get sick some more. So the higher resolution you have, the more people are invested, the less people get sick, the longer they're able to stay in it. And so with Pixvana and Steam announcing them bringing their 360 content market to mobile, they're able to stream high resolution, high def content. So you're not asking people, you're lowering the hurdles. You're not saying go download this app, then go download all this content, and then you finally get to watch it. You're just putting them in it, and then they're gonna do like Netflix, where like, oh, you like this we noticed you like zombie stuff, so here's some more. And I think that's gonna get people, like the more they watch it, the more people make stuff. So go out and make stuff. That needs to happen too.
Yeah, I love that. All right, I'll come back to you, but I want your card. I want to be your friend.
Two questions. One, can you show that Ozo coupon again? And two, are there any tips so far about how to properly light scenes for 360 without blinding the viewers?
So yeah, there's so much blowout when you're shooting in the wrong time. That's another time when I use my Scout camera basically, and I try to make it sure that the camera's that it's straight overhead, because if you get it coming in from the side, if the sun comes in, we were at Santa Monica Pier shooting, and we shot some content, and we didn't bring a Scout camera, and everything was blown out because of underneath the pier, which is so cool to shoot because it's awesome, but the sun was just in the wrong place. So bring your Scout camera so that you can understand like what the best practice, what the best place is. Because if we would have put it probably another 14 or 15 feet to the left, it would have been okay. But it's time of day, and I think noon is pretty good because it's right above.
People have been getting creative. Like some people I'm working with just shot a like horror werewolf story, and they did things like trying to use like environmental light. You're world building. You're designing the story, so like they have like a car with headlights.
One more question.
Things like that, or planting LEDs in particular places.
Okay.
Actually, I just wanted to say practical lights with sliders to dim them down work really well if you're going to create like lamps and things in rooms.
Yeah.
You can do that as well.
Like environmental light that
Yeah.
makes sense in the
So you can
settings.
control your light.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good suggestion.
Yeah, it's, with our trunk piece, we did a lot of, and this was just one very special shot for the piece. We did a lot of like hiding little lights in there, so there was just enough light. And then we had an older car, so with the blinker you could see inside of the car, and that had a cool effect. So it's just it's like oh, that's cool. So make sure you smoke a lot of pot before you do these.
This really does help.
There was my icebreaker. It was so damn late. Guys,
We should have started.
yeah, we should have started.
We should have started there.
Exactly, pop jokes, of course. So please give your Twitter handle and how to find you and all that good stuff.
I'm at Show Me Tiger, and also if you
How do you
want
spell
to like SHOWMETIGER, Show Me Tiger. And then if you want to get a hold of me, feel free to reach out. I want to hear from content creators. We want to know like what are your pain points? What would you like to see finessed? Like obviously there's a ton to work to do, but where can we start really helping to make this process easier for everyone? So my email is S as in Sam, AEN as in Nancy, Z as in zebra, @adobe.com. Signs @adobe.com. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Oh, and who will actually use this?
What is it?
No. Oh, Jesus
This guy
Christ.
had a lot of smiles. I like
He laughed the most, that's true.
Those
He on the
guys-
stage like now.
arm wrestling.
Arm wrestling. All right, you in the back, you had two arms up before anybody. I'm sorry, everybody else. Sorry, you crushed it.
So random.
No problem. Oh, you were the whistler. Give it back. Give it. Which one's that one?